It's 4:21, and with us, Jeff Groby from SumnerOne. We're doing a little tech thing. Very first thing I saw this morning, I popped my computer open. Here's the headline. Twitter recommended 336 million users change their passwords.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, so let's talk about that. First of all, why would it matter on Twitter that somebody had my password?
Well, they could hijack your account and then start broadcasting details or tweets that say things that would be inappropriate.
Okay.
You could lose your job.
Yeah.
Well, here's the beautiful thing about that. If it happened, then somebody else could do my job. I love that. I mean, I don't have to go online. And, maybe I'd have more interesting things.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Posted. Yeah. But so tell us what happened. I mean, another one of these breaches?
There was actually two breaches. One was a little bit less popular because it was a source code site. So Twitter and GitHub, where you store source code as a developer, both left their password files in plain text on some what they call UAT servers, test servers. And they were public facing. So they're not 100% positive that they could have been taken, but the chance was there, and that's why they were recommending everybody change their password.
But at 336 million, what are the odds somebody is going to use my account? I mean,
And I think that, but there are some accounts, like what if the president, someone started tweeting from
Finally,
Donald Trump, we would get some tweets that we could talk about. Or from the White House, or, St. Louis Post is badge, something, I don't know. Why not?
Yeah, and what these hackers typically do with these password files is they run what's called a brute force utility against a website. So they'll take that list of passwords and use a computer to just constantly barrage a website with usernames and passwords until they hit an account that they can log in with.
It's almost like we ought to invest in the hackers as opposed to the companies. I mean. Yeah, they're doing a better job, I think, these days.
A lot of innovation comes from the hacking.
Wow. Yeah. CEO St. Louis and Jack Dorsey said in a tweet, I hope he changed his password.
No joke.
He said it was important to be open about this internal defect. So I know that they will apologize for this issue, but once again, it's our lifestyle has been kind of twisted a little bit, and then it happens. So today, let's talk about the risks to cybersecurity. Let's talk about companies and their employees.
Yep.
What's good protocol?
Well, one of the things that we tell our clients early on when we onboard them and start managing their services is that there's a lot of work that we do to ensure that their network is secure. We put a firewall in place that has a constant updating rules engine, heuristics, stuff like that. And we put antivirus software, anti-malware bytes, anti-ransomware, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to educating end users on how to be smart consumers on the web. And so we actually have a series of seminars where people can come in and listen to how to be a good end user, and this applies at home as well as in the office.
Yeah.
Because all of this stuff can be in place, and all it takes is one person to answer a phishing email or something like that, put their credentials in, and then suddenly the hackers have access to everything on the network.
It's unbelievable. I mean, all those things you put in place.
And a person.
One little, put the thumb in the dike because So, what are this BYOD, bring your own device policy? Talk about that.
That's a rough one, and a lot of companies struggle with how to define that for their employees. Everybody carries an iPhone nowadays. Most people carry an iPad or some kind of tablet, and so many companies have to come up with a policy. What we recommend is that you allow people to bring their devices in, but you either control it or you partition the traffic off to a guest network that doesn't have access to the main network and stuff like that.
Phishing, it's it's fun, I think I'm pretty good at catching those. Especially when they say, do you want a Russian wife?
Exactly.
But
That's the giveaway.
Well, I've married two. They both didn't work out.
You've learned your lesson.
I know. But seriously, I usually can tell, and if it looks like anything where they're asking me for a credit card, or they say that there is, I have to call somebody, or click here, I never do. And what I do is I will send that to their. Is it phishing department? Does that sound about right?
Sure.
I'm really a neophyte with all this stuff. But I will forward that email to the company that, and say, hey, this just doesn't look right to me. I would rather take the chance of being late with a payment or having something untoward happening later that isn't, than me doing the same thing that you're telling those employees not to do, end user doing some kind of a stupid mistake.
Absolutely. We see weird things all the time. They'll typically send out just a blanket phishing, to try to catch somebody. And then if an employee at a company answers one of those and gives specific information, then they take and direct an attack against that company. So then you'll be sitting there and suddenly you'll get an email that says, Joe down the hall just sent you a $20 Starbucks card. Click here to redeem it. And it's legitimately somebody who works there.
Sure.
But what we teach people is ask yourself, if you never interact with Joe, why would he send you a $20 Starbucks card? Or if you only interact with him once in a while, just be critical of these things.
Plus, Joe's teeth aren't very good.
Well,
I don't know if you've seen Joe lately, but he needs some dental
That's why you don't
work.
talk to him.
Right.
very much.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah. Stay down there, Joe.
Yeah.
But it is. It's pretty awful. And some of them are, and we talked about this before. Some of them are so precise with respect to, they'll put the company's actual home address on their logo and those things. So it is easy to be tricked.
I have a
Very
hacking
easy.
utility on my laptop that will allow me to go to a website and take the actual look and feel of their website, all their graphics and everything like that, and create an email that I can use as a phishing attack. You could use it maliciously. I use it to detect, people that are sending this type of stuff. But it's very easy. It only takes a couple of clicks, and you can send out an email that looks like it came from a legitimate company.
You know what I think would be a real winner? I think if you came up with software where you could push a button on your computer and shock the hell out of the person that's sending this to you. Wouldn't it be great? They're sitting at their computer, and you go, I don't believe it. And some guy in New Hampshire is, curling over.
Absolutely. I would use that quite a bit.
I know.
Nice.
I think we need to come
Nice
up
to
with
think
something
about.
like that. What do you think? Yeah. I'm a thinker.
You're right on it.
I know.
Weekend project.
By the way, any tricks, tips to keep safe online?
Just make sure that you've got up-to-date antivirus software that gets up-to-date definitions and heuristics and
what now? Heuristics?
Update. They call it heuristic analysis. That's how they kind of stay ahead of the viruses that are out there. So not only does it look for specific signatures of a virus, but it looks for things that look wonky compared to your file system. So if it suddenly starts creating a bunch of files on your file system, that's not right. So it'll look at that. It may not detect the actual virus, but it'll flag the bad behavior and say where it's coming from. So
these guys are so smart.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for people like us who have probably been hacked and we don't even know it, but fortunately for you, you have great job security, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because these people are going to keep doing it.
Absolutely. It's a kind of a double-edged sword. I'd love to get everybody to the point where they're all being
But you
good
like your
consumers,
job.
but I do like my job.
And
so.
you're good at it.
Yeah,
To tell you, the only person I ever thought would tell me I have a heuristic virus would be my doctor. But,
But there you go.
Here
now
it
you've
is,
been told
right
it
here.
today. May the
SumnerOne.
4th be with you, too.
Jeff Groby, tier 3 engineer. Are you a Star Wars fan, by the way?
Big Star Wars fan.
Are you really?
Yes.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, may the 4th be with you.
Thanks, Jeff, for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having
All right,
me.
See you guys next Friday.